Mr. Toastmaster, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to tell you what happened to me when I graduated from college in 1967. I got a job to work on the motorways in England, like many an engineer before me. And when I got there, I found there were 7 other new Irish engineers fresh out of college. And we met 8 British engineers. We were all brought down to a small pub, the Drunken Duck, to get to know one another and to socialise. So we were having a few nice quiet pints when a row broke out over the relative merits of Irish engineering degrees and British engineering degrees. And one of the senior guys said, "Listen guys, you're all only being paid £999. We'll tell you at the end of the 2 years who are the better engineers." But Colin Pratt, a British public school boy, who I thought was particularly well named, said, "Look," he said, "you may be our engineering equals, but in the area of arts and literature," he said, "the Irish wouldn't hold a candle to the British." And that was much too much for my good friend Bill Shine from Galway, who immediately challenged him to what became known later as the Great Poetry Competition. The rules, he said, would be simple. One team would start the first 2 lines of a poem. If the other team could give the next 2 lines, they would get 2 points. Whoever had the most points at the end of the evening would be declared the literary geniuses. So with the rules agreed, Bill tossed a coin and served for Ireland. "I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high o'er vales and hills," the British continued, "when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils." They replied with Wordsworth, "Behold her single in the field, yon solitary Highland lass, reaping and singing by herself, stop here or gently pass." After a few simple exchanges of verse, it became great and obvious that we were going to have a wonderful night, drinking pints and reciting poetry. But Pratt thought they had got the upper hand in the early exchanges of verse and suggested a new rule that if anybody got 4 points ahead, there'd be a free round of drink. Well, with the thought of free drink, Kevin Burke, a fellow member from here in the past, quoted Ledwidge, "He shall not hear the bittern cry in the wild sky where he is lain." A stunned silence from the British as suddenly they realised that they didn't have in the back of their poetry books a section on Irish poetry. It had been totally ignored. 2 points for Ireland. And they tried Chesterton's donkey when fishes flew and forest walked and figs grew upon thorns. No difficulty, we did it for the Inter. 4 points for Ireland in the first round of free drink. 7 pints of Guinness and a paddy and ice. There were some lovely exchanges of Milton, of Chesterton, of Shakespeare, and it was all going very well and very pleasant until our pints got down. And then Liam O'Mahony quoted Yeats, "I will arise and go now and go to Innisfree, and a small cabin built there of clay and wattles made." Stunned silence from the British, 2 points for Ireland. And suddenly Pratt realised that maybe he was on a sticky wicket and suggested a change in the rules, that you had to be 8 points ahead before there was a free round of drink. Our captain, Bill Shine, said, "Well, that's fair, but you have to agree to a rule that if anybody can complete a poem in its entirety, there's a double bonus round." So with the double bonus round of free drink agreed, Colin Pratt thought long and hard before quoting Shakespeare's sonnet number 30 of his 154 poems, written this one in 1609. "When to the sessions of sweet silent thought," on the leaving cert it was, "when to the sessions of sweet silent thought, I summon up the memories of things past. I sigh the lack of many a thing I sought, and with old woes, new ways my dear times waste. Then can I drown an eye unused to flow, for precious friends hid in death's dateless night, and weep again love long since cancelled woes, and mourn the loss of many a vanished sight. Then can I grieve at grievances forgone, and heavily from woe to woe, till o'er the sad account of fore bemoaned moan, which I new tell as if not told before, and if the while I think on thee, dear friend, all losses are restored, and sorrows end." A poem in its entirety 14 pints of Guinness and 2 paddies and ice. It was then my turn to give out a poem, and I was very worried. I didn't want to give away the first free round of drink. I thought long and hard until I remembered that wonderful Lady of Shalott. 71 lives, and I defy the river lie, long fields of barley and of rye. The flood of old and meet the sky, and through the fields the road run by, to many a tower to Camelot. The British tried everything, all the British poets. In desperation, Houseman, Belloc and Walter Delamere. They even tried the Owl and the Pussycat, but we knew they had gone to sea in a beautiful pea green boat. They tried some music hall stuff. There's a famous seaside place called Blackpool that's noted for fresh air and fun. But one of our guys happened to know the poem in its entirety. Another 14 pints of Guinness and 2 paddies and ice. 2 minutes to 12, the time the poetry speech was to finish. We were 6 points up and desperately needed one last poem. Bill Shine, our captain, said, "Leave it to me." Goreg na van na drimo, that's the ball of Nolly Chan. "It's not fair," shouted Pratt. "It's got to be in English." "It's not in the rules," said Bill, "but I'll give you an alternative." And he quoted the great American poet Robert Frost. "Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I couldn't travel both." Everybody knows those 2 lines. Nobody has a clue what came next. We got a last round of free drink. That night, 140 poems by 40 separate poets were attempted. The British, to be fair to them, tried every trick in the book, got nowhere. We drank 97 pints of Guinness and 13 paddies and ice. They got 1 free round of drink, 4 pints of Newcastle Brown, 2 gin and tonics, a Campari and soda, and a cup of tea and a pork pie. We were declared the literary geniuses. I know it was audacious to do that, but that's what happened, ladies and gentlemen.